hockey is right around the corner. When's the first game of the year?
The Rangers are starting up this Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, a rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, great. And who the Islanders go against?
The Islanders start up Thursday against the Florida Panthers at home.
Oh, great. So both Florida teams are going to come in here and beat the crap out of both New York teams. That's a way to start the season. There I am with my negative energy again. There I go.
Well, beating up might be on the literal standpoint, too, because Mathew Trocheck is now in Florida.
We'll get to the Islanders first because they had the big news coming out this week. The Mathew Barzal contract, 8 years, $73.2 million, average of $9.15 million a year. So they threw all their eggs into Matt Barzal's basket for this and for the next 8 years. And really, when I look at this contract, and you saw the season that he had last year, of course, was it a great season for him? No, not compared to the season before. They're still looking for that line mate for him, and they still have not found that line mate for him. 3 years now to find somebody, just a semblance of somebody to be his line mate, and Lou Lamoriello still has not found that person yet. I know everybody's excited about Aturati. He's not going to be it, but a lot of changes for the Islanders. They brought in the kid from Montreal, the defenseman, Romanov. They traded their first round pick for him, young kid. Their defense is really good, obviously, with arguably one of the best pairs in Ryan Pollock and Adam Pelech. You expect Noah Dobson to take that next step forward, and then they brought Romanov in, so their defense is going to be fine. Of course, you have Sorokin in net. That's going to be fine. It's two things. It's how's the offense going to sustain throughout the season, because they essentially did no upgrades to the offense. They're keeping the same offense from last year. And then you have the new head coach coming in, Lane Lambert, after the shocking firing of Barry Trotz. Walked away. He was let go. There was a disagreement. Something that hasn't come out that probably will never come out. But when we look at how the Islanders are going to be this year, it's going to be fascinating. And the thing is, they're in a very good Metro division. You've got the Rangers. You got the Hurricanes. You got Pittsburgh is always going to be threatening. I would expect the Devils to be better this year and improve. But again, Lindy Ruff is still the coach. That's not going to happen. And it's a shame because they actually have talent. And then you got the Flyers, who are just in a complete rebuild right now, but are trying to have Torts do his magic, like what he did with Columbus when Columbus was on a rebuild. And then he came in there, changed the team aspect of what their goal was, and the guys bought in, and they were very competitive. So the Islanders, to me, are interesting. I think they could be a wild card team this year. You have the other division. You're going to have Toronto. You're going to have Florida. You're going to have Tampa. You're going to have Boston. Gosh, you're just waiting for Buffalo to take that next step at some point.
Either Detroit and Ottawa, both of those teams could take a leap.
I like Ottawa a lot this year.
I do too. If they can get any level of goaltending, that could be a very dangerous
That's
team.
the thing, because they traded for Talbot and then they lost him, which was a killer because Talbot was going to be the starter, and now he's out for the first month or so of the season.
Anton Forsberg is their other starter right now.
Oh, by the way, Tampa's not going anywhere. Is Tampa going to win the Stanley Cup? No. But they're not going anywhere. They still have Stamkos. They still have Kucherov. They still have Hedman. They still have Point. They still have Vasilevsky, Sergachev. They still have all that young talent mixed in with the good vets that can help it get to that next level. I don't know where the Islanders fit. I think they could compete for a wild card spot. They haven't brought in a massive difference maker on offense in years. Now, I know they tried for Johnny Gaudreau, and they finished, I believe, second in the running behind Columbus. They put all their eggs in Gaudreau's basket, and he didn't want it. He wanted to go to Columbus, where I'm still trying to figure it out. It don't make any sense to me. Where are you with the Islanders at this point? I know getting the Barzal contract, because Barzal is coming off a mediocre season at best.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are right now, because I do think the Metro is still going to be kind of tough, but I don't know if it's going to be like as deep as it has been in previous years. Pittsburgh and Washington are both getting old. I think one of them will end up falling off. I think it'll probably be Washington just because
I think it's going to be Washington. Their window closed.
Yeah, I don't think they really got better this offseason. Made some good trades with Anthony Mantha to get younger, but really...
Well, TJ Oshie already got hurt again.
The rest of their team is really old. Their defense really fell off last year, and now they lost Samsonov. Now he's with Toronto, and they signed Kemper, but is he going to be the same Darcy Kemper that the Avalanche had?
Different team.
Yeah,
it's a different defense.
He's always been kind of up and down throughout his career, so which side of Darcy Kemper are you going to get? They're the team that I think that'll drop off. Columbus is an interesting one, too. They're a young team that definitely did better than expected last year, so they're probably going to be the other team with the Islanders in that running, because the Flyers are old, too. too. And maybe Tortorella gets something out of them, but it's tough to tell. But yeah, I think it'll end up being Hurricanes and Rangers top 2. And then probably Pittsburgh will still get the 3rd spot just on the star power alone. And then they'll be fighting for those wild card spots because of their defense and goaltending. If they have a trade deadline acquisition up their sleeve, maybe that could help them elevate them. I'm in the same boat as you right now. I think they'll probably be a wild card team on the defense and goaltending. And again, they got a lot of guys returning, so you don't have to worry about guys getting used to each other.
Now, the other division, you can already lock these spots up. Florida, lock it up. Toronto, lock it up. Tampa, lock it up. That's 3 spots right there gone. So now you're talking Boston, Islanders, Washington, Columbus, all fighting for that last wild card spot.
Even in that Atlantic.
Ottawa's another.
I wouldn't sleep on Detroit either if they can get some level of goaltending too, because they had a very busy offseason too.
I did draft Husso on my team.
Husso played very well last year with St. Louis. Alex Nedeljkovic had a bad year last year with Detroit, but did play well with Carolina, so they can get a little bit out of him and make a nice platoon there, because their defense is actually pretty good. And then they had a very eventful signings with offense. They brought in Andrew Kopp, ex-Ranger. They brought in David Perron, so they have a little more depth offensively. They're another team that could be a sleeper too. They do have a new coach, but if they can find something, that who knows with that. But yeah, this East is going to be very tough this year, so definitely no guarantees for the Islanders either. I would probably say they are a wild card just because with the experience, but it's not going to be easy.
And then we move on to the New York Rangers, who they didn't do much. Minor improvements. Trade out Ryan Strome. God.
Yep, good riddance.
The fact that Anaheim gave that guy a 5-year deal is so abysmal. And they bring in Vincent Trocheck, who is a massive upgrade, especially in the faceoff circle. They need that. They didn't have any faceoff wins. It was weird because I believe the only team that did worse than them in the regular season in faceoff percentage was the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Lightning were beating them in conference finals. You saw it against Carolina, and you even saw it against Pittsburgh. They could not win a faceoff, especially on penalty kills. They were getting clobbered in the faceoff circle. It's been an issue for them the last couple of years because Mika is not the greatest faceoff win percentage guy. Ito, I don't think, is strong enough to win against a tough guy. And then you got the 4th line, which they would try to probably throw a Goudreau out there. Trocheck's one of the better face-off win percentage guys in the league. And he's a really good penalty killer as well. He's an energizer. So far, the line with him, Panarin, and Kravtsov, Trocheck and Panarin have been fine. I'm deeply concerned about Kravtsov. This guy has shown me nothing, and he was having a hissy fit last year with this team. So now they're giving him an opportunity to have the second line, and he's not taking it. And what sucks is they're going to have to break up the kid line, and that would be a disaster if they do that because Kakko, Lafreniere, and Hito have been tremendous this preseason. They were tremendous in the postseason. Gallant said in his press conference today, he goes, I know if I break up the kid line, you guys are going to write about it. He might not have a choice. That's the issue. And they're still trying to find their first line right winger with Kreider and Zibanejad. It sounds like a blast from the past is going to be the guy that gets the job in Jimmy VC. He's had a killer preseason. He has really had great chemistry with Mika and Kreider so far. They tried to give it to Blay. Blay didn't take advantage of it, and it could be effects from the injury. It could just be he hasn't played hockey in almost a year. But it sounds like Blay's going to probably be on the 4th line.
Which is more his style.
I'd probably say he'll be there with Goudreau and then one of these minor leaguers. I don't think Reeves is going to get as much time as people think he is. Personally, I wouldn't have even accepted his option. I would have just let him walk and just brought back Tyler Mott and just let Mott be on the 4th line with Blay and Goudreau. That would have been a better decision. I thought that was a really poor decision by Chris Drury there, but I can't kill Drury for what he's done so far. His first year as GM, the team gets to the conference final. And then, of course, you have Shesterkin. I called him Shesquirkin the other night because he had the poops. With his in the preseason, but I don't know if he can be better than what he was last year. I mean, what he did last year was absolutely incredible. Now, look, we said that about Lundqvist. Can Lundqvist be better? Lundqvist got better every year. I blamed him in the Pittsburgh series, very much so, and I got yelled at by people. I'm sorry, but I'm not giving up shots from the blue line against their pair of defensemen in the first round. That's what happened. I'm not going to fault him in the Tampa series. He did everything he could to win. Pittsburgh series, he was awful. The Carolina series, that was the get-right series for him. And the Tampa series, he was superb. He did everything he possibly could to win that series. Vasilevsky woke up, and the Rangers just didn't have any momentum. They were getting outshot every game, like 37-21. I think the defense still has to be a little bit better in front of him. I think Gallant has to be more cognizant of the ice time with his players. You could tell when Adam Fox plays too much ice time, it drains on him, and he gets exhausted down the stretch.
You definitely saw that some of the Carolina games last year.
Absolutely. Gallant has to be more cognizant of that. He can't be running these guys out every night 30 minutes. Jacob Trouba being named captain was shocking because, quite frankly, he's one of the reasons I think they lost that series to Tampa last year.
Yeah,
they
he wasn't good in the playoffs.
And he did the penalty. It cost him the game, and it cost him that gave momentum to Tampa, and it cost him the series. But the players voted on it. That's who Gallant and Drury picked. the players were all accepting of it. And the third pair defense pair is going to be interesting. They didn't get a vet, which, by the way, I'm totally fine with.
Good riddance, Patrick Nemeth.
Yeah, I know. Between Jack Johnson, Patrick Nemeth, I'm so tired of them bringing in these crappy vets. Enough. Let the good players play. Let Zach Jones play with Schneider.
That's the one I really want because I think he still has some good upside.
Like it's almost like enough already, because what it does is when you put in Jack Johnson or you put in a Patrick Nemeth, it completely slows down Schneider's game. And when Schneider, you're expecting Schneider to do everything, and he's a kid.
The one that I think
not there.
You were talking about the ice time. That's the one I think if he could take a bigger leap this year, he's going to balance that ice time.
Well, that's why they traded Nils. They got a nice return back for Nils Lundqvist. They got a first-round pick back for him. He's not a proven player in the NHL, and when he did play in the NHL for a little bit, he wasn't great. But again, you believe the hype. I think Keandre Miller is going to take a next step. Speedy, what are your thoughts on how you think the Rangers will be this year? Are they still a Stanley Cup contender?
Absolutely, they are. I think when you look at a case of the Rangers' depth is still very strong. Now, you're right. The face-offs are still going to be a bit of an issue. Now, Trocheck
can't play all four lines on the face-off circle.
So, again, you're going to have to deal with trying to get other center depth, too, which is why I was hoping that the scenario for me, I was hoping they would still be able to keep Kopp, too, and pay Trocheck. And even if they let Strome and Vetrano walk, I wasn't really caring.
Well, I knew they were leaving anyway.
Yeah, at least if they could balance that out, that would have been more ideal. But the wing depth is still very strong. I agree with you on Kravtsov. I don't know what's going on. Anthony Scultore, or Forever Blue Shirts, guest of the show last week, was mentioning that he says he's like playing internationally a lot of the time. Sometimes he's playing back in Russia, back here, and doesn't know what's going on with him. And he really does not want him to play. And at this point, I don't really want to. Either Lafreniere's take enough of a leap where I could trust him to maybe get out in that top six. Capo Kakko.
That's my point. You're breaking up arguably your best line.
That's the dilemma that Gallant's going to have. Do you break up the line and have them play with better players? Do you give them more minutes, even though they're considered a quote-unquote third line? Or you have the same case where Trocheck was in Carolina. Trocheck, who you brought in for all this money, is he going to play still third line type minutes with balancing out the veterans too? Because you want to play.
He's going to play Strome. He's a better version of Ryan Strome.
He's a much better version of Strome because he hits, he wins faceoffs, and will actually put the puck on the net. Unlike Mr. Ryan Strome,
they literally are handing this job to Kravtsov. He's not doing anything with it, and all he did was complain and moan and cry and just be a nag about this, the whole thing. And now you're getting an opportunity to play with Trocheck and Panarin. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're getting handed the job, dude, and you're not taking advantage of it. And all you did was complain last year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because Kravtsov.
He worshiped Panarin nonstop after practice all the time. He's been on video.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what he's really big time proven in order to make it work, where he's going to like just be so deserving of this right away with the way the kid line played in the playoffs last year, the way that the Rangers still were able to get a lot of depth that they were able to hold on to. Rangers third and fourth lines in the playoffs too with the veterans also were a big helpful part too, and we'll see if they're able to make that kind of magic work.
I should have brought Mott back. Really, I was not happy. I mean, it would have been Mott, Goudreau, and Blais on that fourth line.
And Goudreau's already hurt now too, which is not ideal. But
he came back the other day.
They were labeling it as week to week.
It just seems like the right wing position is such a weak spot for them because they don't have a set right winger on the first line. They don't have a set right winger on the second line. So it's like, where do we go from here? Do we have to break up? Do we have to put Kakko on this? Because Kakko's having a really good preseason with Lafreniere and Guido right now. If you want to put VC on the first line with Kreider and Zibanejad, fine. Vetrano thrived with those two. So if that can happen, then go with it.
The defense, I think it'll be a little bit younger presence this year now because I expect Keandre Miller to also get more minutes too, and Braden Schneider. And I think when you look at the way that's balanced out with the second and third pairing, because Fox and Lindgren will stay together, and then they're going to make sure that these guys get more playing time. But I'm kind of with you on Gallant. No matter if it's the pairing is labeled as 2 or 3, I just want them to get more playing time to show their speed on the ice because Schneider's skating is very good too. And his offense even was very impressive too for a guy I thought that was going to be a little more defensive.
I'll say this, it depends on one guy, Igor Shesterkin. He plays well, they have a shot. Mediocre, they're going to be a wild card team, or maybe might not even make the playoffs.